All right, we're going to take two of the Agricultural Development Committee meeting of April 15th. We had some live stream problems there, but I want to welcome everybody here and just acknowledge that we're on the unceded traditional territories of the Huipachusett and Shuswap Nations. And notice to everybody that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded on YouTube. And if the public has any questions, you can always email them to responses@acrd.bc.ca, and we'll take questions from the public at the end of the meeting. We're going to start with introductions from everybody here. And I just heard a comment about thank yous and how we need to be grateful for things. So we're going to say our names who are representing, and one very quick thing that you're celebrating today. So let's make this meeting a celebration. I'm Heather Shobe. I'm the chair of this committee, Eden Tree Farm and Gardening, and I am celebrating the warmer evenings and nights. Let's go that way.
I'm Katie Miles. I'm with the Coastal Foods Roundtable and the Tofino Community Food Initiative, and I am celebrating sunny runs.
Hello, my name's Anna Lewis. I'm the manager of the Alberni Valley Food Security Society, and I'm celebrating my daughter and her partner, who are so thankful to be here in the balmy coast, because they live in Dawson City, Yukon, where there's still snow on the ground. So
my name's Ann Siddle. I'm representing the Alberni Fair. And what am I thankful for? I'm thankful that we can all get out and get some exercise somewhere along the line, whether it be gardening or whatever.
Hello, I'm Sarah Reimer. I'm here on behalf of the Spirit Square Farmers Market, and I also have a small farm, No Rhyme or Reason Farm. I am very thankful for my kids just wanting to play outside all the time.
Hi, my name's Tanya Shannon. I'm here representing Shannon Farms. One thing our girls got to celebrate today was they got let out for the first time this year out of the barn. So all the cows are out for the summer.
Hi, I'm Wayne Smith. I got a small farm here in the Alberni Valley, and I'm also a banker of Rowling Grain and Milling, and we do that. And I'm thankful for we're celebrating the fact that we can get a free lunch. That was actually really good.
Hi, I'm Russell Dyson from the Coleman Meadows Farm and also a member of the Agriculture Advisory Committee. And I'm celebrating the return of the barn swallows as of yesterday and everything everybody else is celebrating. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Patty Palmer. I'm the key leader of the Port Alberni 4-H district, and I have a little hobby farm out in Cherry Creek with my husband. And I'm celebrating that my two little grandsons, who just turned 2 and 4 and live in Port Alberni now, have been having so much fun with me planting peas and carrots in the garden.
Hello, Cecilia Addy with the Dot Plus Food Hub. I'm celebrating today just longer days and time to enjoy in the garden after an office day. It's lovely. Thank you.
Good morning. Oh, no, it's afternoon. My name is Penny Cote, Penny Cote. I am the Alberni Clayoquot Regional Director for Sprout Lake, also representative of the Ag Advisory Committee, being here today. And I'd just like to point out there's never a free lunch. And I'm celebrating that it's almost Easter and I'll be able to see my grandson again and family this weekend. So it's a long weekend. Yay. It's beautiful.
Hello, everyone. I am Amy Needham. I am the Sustainability Planner with the Alberni Clayoquot Regional District. And I am celebrating the fact that I had a successful trip down to Victoria yesterday for a medical appointment for my daughter. The appointment went great. The weather was beautiful and my car didn't quit. So it was a success all around.
I'm Erica Gold, and I'm with Eat West Coast, an initiative of the Clayoquot Biosphere Trust and Island Health. And yeah, I'll just echo the good weather. I wore my flip-flops to the beach this morning instead of my rubber boots.
And thank you. We'll go to Kristen. Do you introduce yourself? We want you to because you're here.
Hi, Kristen Cardonahue, Administrative Assistant for the ACRD. I'm thankful for, like everybody said, the sunshine and some warmer weather and the kids playing outside again, which is heaven.
Thanks. I'll go to Zoom. Amber?
I'm Amber Lamb. I have a small mixed farm in Beaver Creek. Thankful for longer days, sunshine, all those good things.
Thanks. And Fred?
Wico Electoral Area Director for Beaufort. Thankful that you can still get into the underbrush and find stuff you lost there a couple of years ago before it all grows over in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
All right, true. Everything's growing quickly. Kids grow quicker outside in the sun, getting dirty. All right, can I get motion to approve the agenda, please, including from Penny, is there a seconder?
Yeah.
And Sidel, thank you very much. And
Will approve and somebody else will.
Anne will approve, Anne will second. Penny cannot because you are advisory committee member. Thank you. Those technical details there. All in favor? Thank you very much. Are there any declarations of conflicts of interests today for the discussion? I don't see anybody. We'll move on to the minutes. You have a copy of the minutes from the meeting held February 18th. Can I get a motion that the minutes be adopted? Thank you. From Celia. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Wayne. All in favor? Great. Process moving along. And we have no, what, sorry, go ahead.
I'm unsure of process, but how do I know if the letter was actually sent from the minutes? The letter in support of the coupon program. Do I ask now or later?
I don't have any idea, Sarah, but it's a good question. And yes, I should also, as chair, say, are there any comments about the minutes? So comments or questions. So that would be my process. Now you can ask.
Just wondering if staff had sent a letter to the Ministry of Health or about the supporting of the coupon program.
Still coming.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and let's discuss that more later on when we do your reports. We don't have any petitions or delegations today, so we're going to fly right along to correspondence for information. You can see the list there. Amy has something.
It's just one I wanted to point out. First of all, Tom Odell is a regional agrologist with the Ministry of Agriculture. He does send his regrets for today, but his report, he said, basically is the island's regional agri-service update, which is one of our information items. So I wanted to point that one out. But also just draw everyone's attention to the climate projections that are in there for the Alberni Valley. There's one for the Alberni Valley and the West Coast separately. And this is important because previously they were all lumped together. And so I actually was part of a project that allowed me access to the Pacific Climate Impacts Consortium and worked with them to have the climate impact projections pulled out separately, West Coast and Alberni Valley, to highlight differences that I was hopeful would show up. And sure enough, they did. If you pull the two up side by side, it becomes very clear when you go across what the differences are. But generally, Alberni Valley runs hot. The West Coast is more moderate due to the moderating influence of the ocean. So I wanted to highlight that. And also the increase in winter precipitation for the West Coast and Alberni Valley. That was another thing that was interesting. But those are just really great summaries, very to the point. The climate data is all can be trusted. So I just wanted to draw the attention. If you haven't got a chance to look at them yet, pull them up and take a look. They're really interesting.
Thank you, Amy. That's great. We also have the Alberni Valley Food Society's Impact Report, Invasive Species Council of BC. So there's some interesting links there. Farm to School BC. And yeah, Agri-Service and Tom's brilliant, now coming out routinely newsletters with information from the province. So can I get a motion that the ADC receive these items for information?
So moved.
Oh, thank you. We do have a question from Fred. Go ahead.
So with the climate summary, I would take a little bit with grain of salt because it does say based on a high greenhouse gas emissions scenario. Now, I'd like to know in the background where that actually comes from, what's a low, high, and what that means. But is this like a worst case scenario? Because that's how I'd read this as we're all going to die in 5 years. And I don't think that's real. So I'd like to know more about that before we actually put this out to the public. We already have, but in the future. Thank you.
I can speak to that, if that's okay. So this is the general climate projections because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's called the business as usual. So basically they take it as if we continue what we're doing and no moderating influences. All the countries around the world keep on doing what they're doing. There's no accords to limit greenhouse gas emissions, things like that. That's generally kind of what we're seeing right now. And so they take the business as usual as the climate projections. That's the one we have right now. If there is more information in the future that comes out as I'm going through projects and things like that on the climate side of my portfolio, I'll definitely bring that forward.
Thanks, Sandy. And I guess one thing I could echo with what Fred said there is that like the projections for 2080, which wow, things change fast. Can we predict that far in the future? And that's interesting that they can come up with that information, and let's just see how things go, hey? So are there any other comments in terms of the correspondence? And can we get a motion to receive these items for information? Thank you, Tanya, and I see Anna seconding. All in favor? Thank you very much. I don't believe we have any requests for decisions today. We're going to go on to reports, and I'll just comment. I think this is a great change. We did a little shifting because we can spend a lot of time just reporting. And I think the interesting part of this committee and where things actually happen is in discussion and hearing from other people. So we've changed things. We are offering the opportunity to submit a written report. People can read it in advance. And then as we go through the reports, basically what I want to hear from anyone is if they have anything to share, if they haven't had a chance to submit it, or kind of items for discussion that I'd like to share with people. And as we shift this around, hopefully we can, move things. Just even when you write in your report, you can put something into new business, and then we'll have topics under late business, I guess, which we don't even have any. So this is kind of our meeting. It's the chance to discuss. Anyways, we'll go through and we'll start with Amy's report from the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District.
Thank you, Chair. There was only two things that I wanted to kind of highlight. And one is a question to Director Cote on the late AVICC resolution to reinstate priority ferry boarding. This is something that came out of the last ADC meeting. If there's any way that Director Cote can give a update on that and just let us know kind of what happened and then next steps, that'd be really great.
Love to report out. AVICC was this past weekend. We had our resolution. We had 3 resolution sessions. It was like speed dating. I was trying to push those resolutions through. We did get through all 45 in the book, regular resolutions, but we did not get to the late resolutions or the 2 resolutions off the floor. So the recommendation from AVICC executive is to forward those on to UBCM. But I believe that UBCM is just going to fire them back to AVICC as a area specific request rather than a provincial. So I think that the next step now is to go to the board, the ACRD board, with that explanation that it's going to be another year before it comes back to AVICC to be able to be before the membership to vote on it. And I think that we could get work done in the meantime by talking to the Minister of Agriculture and Transportation combined, before, right after this election that's come, the federal election, I think that we should start focusing on this issue and, with the province. And that we should try and get a meeting with the provincial ministries, and bring this issue forward because it's important. This summer is going to be hot again, and we don't want any livestock suffering needlessly. And beyond that, June 15th is the resolutions to go to UBCM. It's the deadline, so we'll get that in through the board, regional district board, for UBCM resolutions. And also we can ask to see the ministries at UBCM. So, but if we can get this before the province, before UBCM in September, that would be great. Maybe we could even resolve it before then, and we wouldn't have to go through anything further. What I would ask for is, does anybody have any examples of issues where they've been missed their ferry and not had the option to have a early ferry? So any examples would be really great for our case. Thank you.
Heather, my son had an example where he took livestock down, the ferry was canceled, and they had to bring them back home. The details of which I will get from him, dates and such, and pass them on to you.
Thanks, Penny. Are any other examples, or it could suggest that people reach out to others that they know and get anyone to forward any examples along, because those certainly are really helpful. And Penny, can I just clarify? The suggestion is that the ACRD submit this resolution directly on June 15th, but also work in the meantime with the Ministry of Transportation and Agriculture.
Yes. I think that we should wait until after the federal election, just to give a little bit of time, because that's coming soon and people are focused on that rather than our issue. So I think right after that, it would be a really good time to bring that forward. There's also FCM that's coming very shortly. I don't know the date. I don't go to that. I've never been to it, but there is members from this ACRD that actually attend. So I'll see if there's anybody that's going that might be able to talk to federal government and see if there's anything that they can help out with policies coming forward. Thanks.
All right, thanks. Is there anything the committee needs to do in order to ensure it gets before the regional district for a resolution?
You could put a motion forward from this committee recommending.
All right, so that's the issue here. We last meeting, we sent the resolution to go through ABICC. That won't happen. So is there anyone on the committee who wants to make a motion that it goes before the board of directors, the ACRD board of directors, and then they will submit the resolution directly to UBCM?
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Can we get it? Okay, where's the language from last month? I'm sure that's in here somewhere. I know, Kristen's tapping away. So we're gonna get some wording for the motion.
So I'd like to add that it was off the floor because we missed the deadline. And it's not, it couldn't be a late resolution because it's not a merging issue. So that's why it was coming off the floor, and Fred brought all the documents that were needed and was ready to go with it. It's just that we didn't have enough time. I tried.
Yeah, thanks for that. And we did talk about that last time. I think it got into the calendar that we know now that we need to get any resolutions to the ABICC, like be thinking about that in November, getting them off. And thank you, Fred, for bringing all that information. It sounds like when this goes before the ACRD board of directors, there'll be lots of info there. Kristen, any chance you got a motion? Where's the old one? Okay.
So the previous motion was that the Agricultural Development Committee request that the Alberni-Clayoquot Regional District Board of Directors submit a late resolution to the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities requesting priority boarding for agricultural producers on BC ferries to ensure the health and safety of their livestock and agricultural products.
Okay, so I think the motion would be that same motion that goes towards the ACRD Board of Directors, right? Does that make sense? Can we do any better? It's good. For UBCM, yeah. Penny?
Could it add a, also that the regional district try to approach the province to bring this issue forward?
Are you meaning meetings at UBCM or prior to UBCM? Both. Okay.
Great, so we'll add to the motion that the ACRD arrange meetings with the Ministry of Transport and the Ministry of Agriculture in advance and at the meeting. And I think that's a great topic because it helps us to get chances to speak to the Ministry of Agriculture directly as well, which is good every year that happens. So, Penny?
Thank you. If I was on UBCM still, I would be bringing it to them, the executive. But there is possibly an opportunity to have a presentation at UBCM. If there's anything to do with agriculture, I'll keep my eyes open and try to find out because they do a lot of sessions where it's information and education for the members. And if there's anything on agriculture, I'll try to see if there's some way to implement that into their presentation as one of the issues. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Penny. And if you hear anything, can you send that out to the committee or to me or somehow we'll share that. Great. Thanks, everybody. We do need a motion, yes. Could we please get a motion that the ACRD Board of Directors bring forward the request, the same one from before, to prioritize livestock and agricultural products on the ferries, as well as meet with the Ministry of Transportation and Agriculture in advance. Right? Yes, Sarah made the motion. Thank you. And seconds. All in favor? Thank you. And everybody's so patient. I appreciate that.
Heather, just,
Yes.
I don't think you need to change the motion, but just for staff to follow up, that you don't just want to go to the Ministry of Transportation. BC Ferries is a separate corporation, so the corporation themselves need to be informed of the issue as well. So I would suggest that the corporation also be included in that correspondence.
Thank you very much, Russell. And that's why we are such an active and prosperous committee, because we have these smart people here helping us out with all these little details. Are there any other comments, or are you finished your report? One more thing from Amy.
One more thing, I will make it short, Madam Chair. Unfortunately, the delegation that was scheduled for this meeting had to back out because just there's been a change in the project. There was going to be an update on the Area D official community plan. So there's been a slight change in the project. And so just the timeline has changed. So that delegation has actually been moved to our July meeting. So the committee knows. And so I had tried actually to get our general manager of administrative services to come in and do a quick off the cuff kind of presentation on the AVICC and the background of it, the deadlines, UBCM, the background of it, the deadlines, and the resolution process just for the members of the committee so that everyone was on the same page. Unfortunately, the timeline was a bit tight, but I wanted to ask the committee if that's something they would be interested in having down the line, is have her come in. She's great, and do an outline of everything so that the acronyms can get confusing and everything is just the deadlines and things like that. So I had it in my brain to ask if that was something the committee would be interested in.
Any thoughts? I see some nods. Yep. All right. So yes, 10-minute delegation. Great. Thanks. And if anyone has any questions for Amy about any of the other items on the report, I notice they're still looking for people to do some army worm trapping. Anyone have any comments or questions for Amy? Go ahead, Tanya.
Not necessarily for Amy, but I just wanted to highlight that at the last board meeting, the board voted in favor of coming up with a motion to get rid of the temporary use permit fee for agritourism accommodation, and that'll be at the next meeting. Yeah, it was in her report. I just wanted to highlight that part because we've been working on that for a long time.
Yes, I did actually see that earlier and forgot it right now as I was skimming through this. But thank you and congratulations. Hopefully a small win. Do you have any other, you guys went and presented to the board? Yeah, you did. I know Sarah was there to hold your hand. That's how I knew. Anything, comments?
So everybody knows on behalf of like myself and Shannon Farms, I was a delegation at the last board meeting. I had submitted a presentation for the agenda, speaking to agritourism accommodation, and I believe I did say I wasn't speaking on behalf of this committee, but more myself, that I was frustrated and exasperated with how long things are taking. And I think it was noted by the board that there's a lot of negative implications of not passing that zoning bylaw that we're still dealing with years later, with outdated bylaws regarding the agriculture and stuff. And everybody, the board seemed very that's what I want. Everybody was happy to support this motion going forward to come to the next meeting. So hopefully, and staff had mentioned that this was kind of a way, like a quick Band-Aid fix until the zoning bylaw gets passed, where they could help local agriculture with things. And I had posed the question to the board, like, what else do you want us to do from the Ag Committee when we're saying like, this is what would help? But I said, I feel like we're hitting a wall and we're not getting anywhere. I said, what do you want back? And kind of put it to the board. And I think a motion came out of it was there going to be discussion on agriculture at the next EA meeting or at AVM Banfield meeting? If I remember correctly, there was a motion to like have more discussions on the future to see what can be done. Maybe there's other quick fixes to help things in the interim while the OCP process is happening. So yeah, thanks.
There was two motions that came up. Do we know what they are specifically, or go ahead, Penny?
Just in general, one motion was in regards to what I put in my report. So there's going to be a report, an RFD coming back to the board on April 23rd. And then the other motion was in regards to the more long-term discussion, like a discussion to come on, not, I think it was just not limited to agritourism accommodation. It was like,
No, it was. Sorry, the button. No, it was because I had mentioned like while I was specifically there talking about agritourism accommodation, and I had kind of explained the different levels of policy behind it, and all the things that you have to hit, like thresholds to even be able to have agritourism. I had mentioned, like, even though I'm here talking specifically about this today, I had mentioned that there is other things that we had put forward, like regarding properties less than 5 acres, not in the ALR with animal limits and stuff like that, that's still sitting there ready to go, that people are waiting on. And so that was the broader conversation of they're going to have a discussion kind of about, I guess, the proposed zoning bylaws that we had asked for agriculture, and seeing if there's any quick fixes in the meantime until that happens. That's the broader discussion.
Go ahead.
So at the board, I definitely supported the quick fix.
Yeah.
The zoning bylaw that was pretty much ready to go at the end of the last term for the directors was put on hold. Directors of the day said that they wanted to see the OCPs come forward before the zoning bylaw came through. So that was the motion made. So right now we're looking at Long Beach and Sprout Lake, hoping to get those completed in my term. And then it would be a time to look at the zoning. But in the meantime, there is a lot of things that are not adequate. And I also see a problem with the other short-term vacation accommodations. Whereas identifying what a recreational lot is, because we don't really have a clear vision of what that it actually is. So looking at that, when we first discussed short-term vacation rentals, it was identified as a mortgage helper or a way for people to be able to buy property and live at Sprout Lake because it's so unaffordable. So with the cost that you were facing of $1,100 plus advertising plus all the rest of it, it doesn't seem fair that a person that's trying to have a mortgage helper has to pay all that up front. So I'm proposing that people that live on the property actually only have to pay half the fees. If you have 5 houses that you're renting out, you should pay. That's a business. But when you're not a business, you're just trying to improve accommodations within our area because there's recreational activities that happen at Sprout Lake, especially. We need to be able to make accommodations. And there's farms too, like in Sprout Lake as well, that could actually benefit from this. So also tying in the agricultural tourism accommodation is also a part of this, in my opinion. So that's something that we'll be discussing very shortly.
All right, thanks. Penny, Fred, I saw your hand. Do you have a comment?
I think Penny did a good job. I was just gonna read off the actual motion, but it is what it is. Kara?
All right, thanks. And Tanya, I'll say thank you for just even that statement that, there's a lot of things that go forward and they feel like they hit walls. So asking the question is what more can we do, or what do you need from us is a good question. So kudos for doing that. I appreciate it. Any other comments on the ACRD's report? We will move on next to the city of Port Alberni, who is not here, so they can't speak to it, but you can see what's there. Another seafood processing plant and a business case for an innovation center. Next, School District 70, Helen's Nettie, she's not here either. You can read her report. Island Health, Ministry of Agriculture and Food, Alberni Farmers Institute, even Lisa is not here. It's Wayne, right? Have you got anything to share, Wayne?
Oh, we just had our meeting last Saturday, I think it was, or Thursday, about the emergency livestock and the water management. That's about all I've really got to report right now. We haven't had another meeting. I think we'll be planning on another Farmers Institute meeting coming up pretty quickly, actually. So until we get that, I don't have much else more to add.
All right, thank you, Wayne. Alberni District Fall Fair, thank you, Anne, for sending a note there. You think to
The only thing I'd add is Sarah told me today that she has Jake Van Kooten's seeds at her spot at Spirit Square. So I'll be adding that to our social media channel for free. Yeah. I won't say they're free. I'll just tell people to go and see her. Maybe they'll buy other things from you.
And for anyone who doesn't know what that is the giant pumpkin seed winners.
Sorry, the giant pumpkin, yes, that we talked about last time. We put it in our prize list book. We have been promoting it. So now I will add where people can find seeds, which had a great response to it.
All right, thanks. Alberni Valley Food Security Society. Anna.
Yeah, I just looked at what I put in there because I don't remember, that was last week, so I don't think there's much to add, other than I'd really like to emphasize the Growers Guide deadline is coming up, so that is for the farm listings. I will be doing a final NAGI outreach to folks around the calendar events, because it's kind of like May to May. I know Tanya, she's got it dialed in. She's prepared. She knows all her dates. I know, because I make people give me dates. So, but I will do and I've got Spirit Squares, but there's, the Farmers Institute too, I know had given me some dates, but then I was like, oh, there's already this going on that date and this going on. So it is kind of helpful, but I'll reach out to just so Wayne, the Farmers Institute knows I'll be trying to bug you guys before the end of the month. And I think that's it. Editorials are coming out and yeah, it's all coming together. So
Great. How many years is it? The Growers Guide 2015 was the first one.
2015 was the first
2015,
one with
so this is a
McKenna and
10-year
Edwards
anniversary.
on the cover.
Make sure that
So.
10-year anniversary stamp is there somewhere.
Oh.
We'll get that.
I'll get Teresa Bird on it.
Right. Awesome. It's great. And people need a grower's guide locally, so encourage people to list, and it is actually really cheap. I do get phone calls from it, and I know a lot of growers don't actually want phone calls. But
Yeah.
Come on. we get-
There's a few people that have been out of the Growers Guide for a couple of years and have requested to be put back in. I think I've had 2 or 3 listings where they're like, you know what? I actually would like to sell more hay, or would like to have noticed their open day where they have customers come by where the numbers have been dropping. And so they said, yeah, put us in the Growers Guide again. So it's good.
Yeah, that's great. And I think we're trying to grow a whole industry, a whole community around agriculture, and the more promo and the thicker the Growers Guide gets, really the better for all of us, including things like seafoods and all of the other types of growing that's out here. That's my blurb for it. On to you next. Eat West Coast, Erica, or does anyone have, if anyone has questions as we go along, please raise your hand, hit your buttons. Erica.
Sure, I'll do a couple quick updates. I think Katie has a bit more meat on the food production side, so I'll leave that to her. I thought I would just start by saying that I'm seeing the discussions on food costing and where that might go currently, and with everything that's going on right now in the world is really influencing the discussion about food on the coast big time. I'm really, really feeling that a lot. One interesting, I mean, on the coast already, basic basket of food items for families can be up to 20% more than even shopping in Port Alberni. So people really feel it. One great thing is last year I was here, of the 8 communities on the coast, only 1 had a community garden running. And this year it looks like by the end of the year, 3. So there was a time when every community had a community garden. So that's at least showing that there's movement happening in the community and among people. So that's quite exciting. And I've also been reaching out to lots of folks to see how we could reinvigorate our farmers market stand. So for about 5 years, I ran fresh produce stands in Ucluelet, Tofino, and Howsett. And through COVID and just staffing issues, it fell off. So we're trying to reinvigorate that, and looking at to be a shared community table for any growers. So we'd also love to put the word out. There was a time when we had producers from Port Alberni come up and share the table with us from time to time. So it'd be nice to get the word out. If anyone is interested in doing that, we would have a space for you to use. We're still working out details on how it's going to work, but I want to at least get the conversation going. And then my last update is about infrastructure on the coast, which is really exciting. So starting this year, we have 2 new physical buildings. We have in Ucluelet, the food bank. The new food bank's being built. It's out of the tsunami zone, and it's more than just a food bank. There's really a lot of vision around it being a hub for the community for many other types of food programs, growing and sharing. And then in Tofino as well, the Clackwood Biosphere Trust will be building their new
Biosphere Center, and it's not like another office building. It's meant to be a community asset, and the plans were all directed by the community. And a huge component is an actual large commercial kitchen facility that's being designed for teaching, processing, and community programs specifically. So that this is something new that we don't have on the coast. So between those two buildings, there's going to be lots of potential. I mean, you know how it is sometimes having a physical place is really valuable to bring people together and help maintain threads of programs and connections. So we're going to start thinking about the actual programming in the kitchen space. And so it'd be great to reconnect with Doc Plus, because there's a lot of similarities and we'd love to see how we can work together. What else? I think that's it for me now. Thanks.
Thanks, Erica. I have a question. In the new food bank, are they gonna have any garden space or growing space? I know there's a community garden at the
Yeah.
or it's anything. Yeah.
The community garden kilo is just a handful of boxes that people can just rent. It's quite small. Yes, there is a long-term plan to establish growing. We believe there's probably around 2,000 to 3,000 square feet that could potentially be used to do some growing, but that will be a couple years away. So
Awesome. Who's the lead on that? Like if people have ideas or want to get involved with creating a space?
it's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much she's vice executive director, is that right?
Of what
Of
organization?
the food bank. Yeah.
Of the food bank, right? Okay.
Yeah, so she's really, I mean, it's entirely run by volunteers, so I do a lot of assistance with grant writing and connections and things, so I think that would be collaboration between quite a few different organizations.
Great, cool. Yeah, always good to get some more productive spaces and even like teaching spaces and that out there as well. Anybody questions, comments? No. Moving on, Nunachalamas Tribal Council, Jen's not here. Spiritsburg Farmers Market. Sarah, we can go back to your chance now too to talk more about.
Yeah, so I just have an update from my report about funding. I received a note that we have received funding from the provincial government for the Farmers Market Nutrition Coupon Program. However, there are several program modifications by the Ministry of Health, so they have not told us what they are. Us being the farmers market, the BC Association of Farmers Market is just wading through everything and getting the details on the program nailed down. So the program will begin approximately the end of June, when normally it's been the beginning of June, so that's a bit of a delay. I'm hoping that the program modifications aren't more arduous process for applicants, but I have no idea what they've put on it. So I will enlighten you as I find out. Also, we are gonna hopefully apply for a grant and aid from the ACRD for our Music at the Market, which is an outdoor music that's provided to customers and the community between July and August. So we pay artists to perform for the community, and we're just looking for some funding. So I don't know if it's possible for this committee to give us a letter of support for that grant and aid. I don't know if that's something to be done, and also for our garlic festival. Is that something that can be done? Do we do that kind of thing? Or have our committee support that idea? I don't know. Okay, thank you. Because we were denied granting from the city, so we're looking for some sort of financial support, because as a nonprofit that charges minimal fees to farmers who are barely eking by, we don't have a lot of money to spend on much else. Thank you. That's about it.
Okay, Fred, go ahead.
We should be able to put together a letter for sure. As for a grant and aid, I think the application deadline is coming up right away. This year is going to be very tight because the city is asking for a whole bunch of money for the tourism center out of the grant and aid, which will be quite disastrous for everybody else that's trying to get money this year. So it'll be an interesting discussion we'll be having shortly. Thank you.
Yeah, a couple comments, questions. In terms of a letter of support, I think that'd be great. And if there does happen to be a problem with supporting something in specific, which the committee is members from the public, so I don't think it should be, but also I wonder about just the language in terms of supporting food and agriculture initiatives in general. So who knows who's going to be applying, but it's really important that the food and agriculture industry is supported by the regional district, and they've done so much over the last number of years supporting food and agriculture. Now we have a sustainability planner who's working at a high level, but there's less money going for like kind of on the ground projects potentially. So and then another question, and getting ideas from people. It's when I heard this first, I was kind of thought it might be the city that would be supporting this request just because it's in the city, but of course does benefit people, you know, out in the communities, the farmers, and other communities like Banfield who comes here to go to the farmers market or to have those opportunities. So I guess the question is like, what sorts of things can you think of that could support that grant and aid? That like, why is this such a important regional initiative? And seeing as how the city denied this, what are things that could help in order to get that funding and support? Kenny?
Thank you. So I'm gonna look at ACRD staff and say, is there anywhere that could be put in as a promotional on agriculture initiative where it could come out of ag funds?
That I don't want to say yes to because the budget just passed and the budget is actually allocated already, but yeah, why am I talking about budget when the board has the budget?
So I'm looking at the landfill. We do promotional information out to the community in different ways. Like we've teamed up with the Bulldogs, the hockey rink and whatever else. And we have funding for initiatives to promote.
Promotional funding.
So I'm just wondering if the agricultural committee or budget has anywhere in there that we could put that in.
Let me take a look and see what I can come up with because I have a feeling that the line item for promotional is actually different than the agricultural. So let me see what is going on in the budget behind the scenes and see if there's any opportunity to turn the same initiatives that maybe went for solid waste management towards agriculture and food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to follow up on that, I don't really think that it's going to be supported as a grant and aid with the board. As Fred had said, like we're really tight and we're doing things differently this year. We didn't do the grant and aids before the budget. We've got a set amount of money in a pot and that's all there is.
Any other ideas? Because I think these are the kind of things that are really helpful for initiatives and communities like I don't know, where else does money come for things like this? I mean, even the Chamber of Commerce now is like, well, they're not even open. So that's not a good bet. And we're in this climate now where it's like economics are really tough for everybody. Anna, I see your hand on the button. Please help us.
I was just trying to beat Katie to that. I got the Speedo finger. I was just thinking, and I mean, I think it's a wonderful idea of supporting the music at the market. I also perform there sometimes, so it's definitely a conflict of interest. But I love the idea of having the ADC put a letter forward, potentially just to the board saying that agriculture is a really important component of our community and just keep it top of mind. And I know it's going to be really, yeah, $87,000 is what you guys have for grant and aid. Yeah, so it's not a lot. And what Jolene asked for 90,000. So I get that it's going to be really difficult this year, but I think it is super, and some of the, like, I know with the Food Security Society, the Farmers Institute, I mean, we were getting for 3 years, we got that, like, the Food Security Society, they received $7,500 a year for 3 years through the Systems Change Project. Same with you guys out on the coast. Farmers Institute got $4,000 a year. Like, and to not, to not have any grant and aid is a lot. Like, to lose anything, it's like, okay, it makes it tough. So I like the idea of being able to keep it top of mind and just recognizing that agriculture is very important in this community and on the coast. Well, it was put out there as a suggestion. I don't want to take over because I think we're still talking about Sarah's initial motion, but I think that might just be a good idea as an alternative, like to have a letter that multiple people that are applying for ag stuff could you utilize potentially. I don't know.
Yeah, because Alberni Fair, we put in a grant and aid application as well to put on some type of workshop during the fair and for agriculture in the agriculture education area. So a letter of support would be great. Ask it to
Like
have
a blanket
a
letter.
blanket letter. We would like in future, we would love to be able to update our brochure with all the agriculture stands or the farm stands. But you know, that's costly again. So our money is tight, our budgets are tight too. I actually have very little in my budget for agriculture education. So
we'll go Katie, and then I see Amber and what's his name, Fred. And I am really appreciating all the conversation and discussion. Go ahead.
What TCFI does for events, like when we don't have funding come through from the district, is just trying to find businesses that will partner with us for like piecemeal parts. Sure, you're already thinking that way, but that's all I can offer of advice.
Amber?
I know that the Farmers Institute had some money earmarked for community engagement. I don't know, I'm not on the board there anymore, but I know at the AGM, that was part of the accounting, was that they had some money put aside for that. So maybe you could actually apply for some money from them. If not, at least a letter of support might be a good idea.
I concur. That's a great idea. And Fred, go ahead.
No, thank you very much. I think we're having a great discussion here, and I think everyone's going to realize what the board's going to be going through the next month or two when we do the grant needs. But I think Anna hit the nail on the head there. Do we take this 87,000 and spread it out throughout the community, or we take 95,000 and hire one employee at one facility? That might help everybody. So we have to be very aware and conscious of helping the broad community and how we're going to define that. Thank you.
Thanks. I'm a little confused, or maybe I don't know. Is the chamber applying for $90,000 to the grant and aid? Wow, that's a big grant and aid request. I thought there was a max, but I know things have changed. And anyways, just clarifying that. Thank you. Any other, Russell, go ahead.
If I could ask a question, at our last meeting, we were talking about the possibility that your rent was going to be increased by the city. And what's the status of the rent? And has the rent ever been provided free by the city as a grant and aid in lieu?
I just reviewed all our documentation this week, so I can answer your question. They did discuss the rent in camera and keep it the same for the next year, because I explained that our AGM sets our fees, which is in December, and you told us in March about our lease. Anyway, so they put it on, they asked me if we wanted to sign a 3-year agreement with the rent increase or just a 1-year lease and then go for there. And I said, a 1-year lease, thank you. And we will go from there. They have never provided funding for the rent. They historically, before last year, they used to provide, I believe it was $400 cash and then an in-kind donation of the tent that everyone uses. down by the park was to our organization somehow. So that was their in-kind portion, and then they dropped the $400 supporting the music at the market, I think 3 years ago, and just gave the in-kind tent. And then they don't even consider it an in-kind donation anymore. They just set it up because everybody uses it and it's not just us. So that's it.
I just think that, we kind of talked about this before, right? And because you had reported out, was it $36,000 of merchandise is going through the Ministry of Health's food stamp program, for lack of a better, right? And that's feeding people in the community. It's supporting our businesses. I just would encourage us maybe between now and next year, when this becomes an issue, to really work with you to try and convince the city that they give you that rent for, charge whatever you want, but then in turn give us a grant and aid in lieu of that, so that you're not having to pay that. They have done that to other organizations, at least in the past. And the argument is being made as to the service that you're providing to the broader community and those that are in need, as well as to the businesses. So I would really like to help or work on that with you, if not for this year, at least for subsequent years, to do it strategically.
That would be amazing. We would appreciate any help in corresponding with government, period. I would note that the city did receive information directly from the Farmers Market Association about the coupon program, and that because they were reporting out to the cities where their program runs, and the city did send a letter of support directly to the Ministry of Health. So that was nice that it's on their radar as well, directly from the Farmers Market Association. So yeah, we have a bit of info at the city already. So thank you very much, Russell.
Just a question, do you know what department or who it came through at the city, the letter of support? Do you know who signed it? Or
I will in a minute.
To the phones for info. Yeah, and the grant and aid to the city is due in October, so it sounds like you're gonna get some help putting that in. I also just want to go back to the letter to the ACRD and that question as to how ACRD can support ag. And thank you, Anna, for pointing out the system change funding, because I do think that has made a difference. We did contribute a lot of money to food and ag organizations locally for a number of years. It was funded, but that was still the ACRD, put a lot of effort and work into that. And one of the things at the end of that project was like, how do we continue on with this? And one of the ideas was potentially, it doesn't sound like this year would work, but having the idea of having a grant and aid stream that's specifically for food and agriculture, so that like food and ag knows and the ACRD contributes, like, yeah, this year, every year we're gonna have this much sort of budgeted within grant and aid for local food and ag industries. If that's seen as a priority from the regional district, then maybe there's a way to incorporate that into a kind of a part of the structure of the policy of the program. So it's just another idea. But it's definitely something we need to keep talking about. Penny, go ahead.
I think rather than a grant and aid, we need to incorporate it in as a promotional or support in the budget rather than a grant and aid. We do have the service, agriculture service, right? Okay, well, subtitle, agricultural promotion development, support. Because we want to, we've identified it in our strategic plan, so you might want to refer to that. It's in our strategic plan to support agriculture.
Yeah, and I would just like to point out that the ACRD is indeed actually doing some of that by co-producing the Growers Guide, and same with the Family Farm Day event. So there is already a couple things under there, but I'd love to see it blown wide open and go way more.
To quickly answer Amy's question, the letter came directly from the mayor.
And I was also gonna point out that the ACRD is still, the Family Farm Stand, the Growers Guide is a good example, and I think that the difference is we don't get to see how that funding and budget is allocated. I guess it's kind of within the planning, so it's not something that organizations can access directly or request directly, like for some kind of process where there's more of like a bottom-up opening rather than the top down. Here's what we're doing for agriculture. Just the opening, then an idea. So I don't know how that might work, but I appreciate your point about getting it actually in the budget as a line item, not even necessarily in grant and aid. And it's really what was happening when Anna and I were doing, we had a contract, and now the money is also going to a staff person, which is amazing. So there's a lot happening. But I think the difference is from the community. Now. Go ahead, Erica.
I just want to share how valuable the discussion is. On the coast, not so much within the nations, but within the municipalities, there's just no knowledge, capacity, or interest to address any of these issues of land use for community agriculture or food purposes. And it's a real struggle because ideas just are getting shut down because they are being shunted around nowhere to go. So I can't wait to hear more about how we can take some of hopefully these ideas and successes to the coast. But one quick note I will share that was a huge step forward is the District of Ucluelet is leasing the municipal land to the food bank for $1 a year. So it's on municipal land, $1 a year lease. So that's a huge step forward.
Kind of like a grant and aid, but probably not formal. Anyways, go ahead.
I just wanted to, about the agriculture budget line, the way that it was before with the ag contract workers, it was basically contractors that did work under the agriculture budget, and then that was allocated for them to pay them to do the work. So my wages actually don't come out of that. It's separately funded, but still with the partnerships that we have with the Food Security Society to do the Growers Guide of Family Farms Day, and then with the co-facilitator of the Coastal Foods Roundtable, still those partnerships still exist, and they're going that route, but it's not structured as a grant and aid. It's agriculture budget for like agriculture partnerships for projects that are going on. So that's like a fine distinction, and I don't know about the ins and outs of setting up like a separate agriculture grant and aid stream, but I do have it on my list to ask administration about.
There may be opportunity to work with First Nations as well. There's been grants that have been opened up to them recently that might work for agricultural purposes.
So many ideas and ways, and like, how do we do it all? And I just, again, I do not want to dismiss the what's happened having a seat here and having Amy and staff in agriculture is that all of these, like you say, the partnerships, all these programs, these are now like long-term, formally embedded, always at the staff meetings is what was, definitely a bonus. So not to, set aside anything that doing. How do we support, community groups and new things and all of that? So go ahead.
Just one more idea. I sit in on a lot of meetings. I have a broad portfolio. Agriculture and food security is just one part of what I do. There's a lot on water. There's a lot on environment. There's a huge portion on climate. It's very broad, natural assets, you name it. So I do find myself in meetings sometimes that are not related to agriculture and food security at all, but the verbiage coming down from grant funders and the province and places like that is remarkably similar in that they do want to see collaborative applications for grants. If you're looking to leverage a larger amount of money, they're looking for multiple collaborators across for like a large project in one area. So the idea of doing, it came to me when you're talking about the blanket letter of support, and then just offside here with Director Cote, that the possibility might be for food and agriculture related organizations within the Alberni Valley to band together and start doing larger grant applications together as co-collaborators for larger projects that they have around, like you said, education or communication. So you have like a broad communication, agricultural education that you want to do, and everyone band together. It might be an opportunity to leverage larger amounts of money instead of piecemealing it and then being in competition with each other for the same grants. So
We'll start an agricultural development committee nonprofit to write the grants. Hire somebody. No, I'm just kidding, just kidding. Okay, sorry. It's so true, so important though. Yes, and that's what we're doing here, is kind of working together, idea generation stage, so. Big wicked grant application coming up, perhaps. I hope that's fruitful. Some ways, get some wheels turning. Sarah, you are still on in your report portion. I was gonna ask, you had a question about this maybe got answered, but the ACRD is still on the table. So another letter of support for the farmers market nutrition coupon from the ACRD coming as per last meeting. Any other questions or comments for this for farmers market?
It just came to mind that as part of our Food Hub Network Forum, we get a lot of initiatives from the Agriculture, Ministry of Agriculture, and I don't have it recently on my email, but there was recently some funding specific to what you're speaking of, and I don't know the 100% particulars, but I'd love to share some contact info so I can keep everybody here in mind there, because it's not always just applicable to food hubs. It's a wide range of resources that could be very useful here.
Yeah, that might be the KTTP knowledge transfer, maybe, or maybe not. I don't know. That's one.
That one doesn't sound familiar, but it's just recently a newsletter that we've developed within our own food hub network. So being fanned out amongst the 14 food hubs, and yeah, it's only been recent that we've been getting these emails. So more than happy to share them.
That sounds awesome. And if there's others that come up, maybe you can send them in for the agenda or something like that, so that any that you can share, as we can see. Awesome. Okay, moving on. Next, we're at the Port Authority.
Perfect segue. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very busy at the Dot Plus in lots of areas. Our expansion is well underway. The building now has some tieback on the outside of it, and we're getting ready to pour the foundation. High pressure processing equipment coming from Nova Harvest early next month. So we're really excited to wrap that up, because our seafood season is right around the corner, and it's getting very busy on the dock with commercial sales, or anticipating commercial seafood sales. The ice house is going to be open May 1st. And last year we saw a lot of folks from the agriculture committee or agriculture community coming out and getting ice from us for things like for their chickens and whatnot. So keep us in mind because we are definitely there for you. We have prawn season well underway, and we are really working hard to increase our offloading capacity so that we can have things like tuna come across our docks. We don't see a lot of it, but we're getting more demand, especially as the coast in Ucluelet has long waits and are at their capacity. So we're trying to do all that we can on our end to increase our capacity as well. The food hub itself is very busy. It's a great problem to have. Everybody's looking for more space. We're trying to be very creative, trying to accommodate needs for storage, and who knew styros take up so much space. But it's a good problem to have. Everybody's begging for more processing space, begging for more storage space, and we're doing our best to think outside of the box and see what kind of opportunities we can have to help accommodate that, whether it's directly on property or within close proximity. As always, we're looking to grow our membership in the kitchen. We are eager to try and reach out to folks like yourselves and others in the industry to try and do more workshops and classes, not necessarily even just within the kitchen itself, but in our boardroom. With the market the way it is, it's hard for new businesses and startups. So I'm looking at ways that we can foster small projects such as Business 101, or things like you've been talking about, grant writing, getting some food safe, or just doing simple things like getting back to the basics on preserving and canning. So we're open to those ideas on what that looks like, and trying to remind everybody that, yeah, we're here as a learning space as much as we are there for a producing space or a processing space. So working with Carmela, our manager of marketing communications, on putting those things together. With that, we partnered with the Arts Council and we're going to be painting a giant mural on the side of the building that's going to showcase the kitchen. It's going to be bright, vibrant, colorful. It's going to be food and industry focused. You're going to see fruits and vegetables and meats on the wall, literally. And what it's going to look like is partnering with them so that we can bring some mentees from the community who are really engaged in art, and they are going to be able to help us create this mural. And it's basically going to highlight like, hey, this is where the kitchen is, because a lot of people don't know what's going on over there. And we want to highlight that and make sure that everyone knows exactly what's going on. We just wrapped up our business plan for what that looks like over the next few years and identified opportunities, areas for growth. It was really exciting to see it. Just got that this morning. And one of the things that was on there was exactly what I'd said is opportunity for workshops and helping create that community space for learning as well as producing. Yeah, that's elsewise just business as usual. We're very eager to get going into the season, and it's going to be fast, busy, and lots of action. That's really all I have.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I got the email from Carmela this morning and I'm gonna take it to my board of directors tomorrow at our meeting and just, make sure they're aware of it, because the Alberni Valley Food Security Society has done a lot of stuff and did the initial workshops in conjunction with the Doc Plus and the city. And I would like to see us doing more workshops, but space is always an issue when, I like hosting things at my house, but I don't have flyability for community workshops.
No, that's very fair. And we've always really valued the partnership there because, again, it's about a place of learning. And, a lot of people don't know that we do have a full boardroom upstairs. And so it's a great combination. When we've hosted classes through North Island College, for instance, they'll do their textbook portion upstairs in the boardroom and then come down into the kitchen to put real life things into application. So I think there's some great opportunity there when we look outside of the box and go, what more can we offer, and help engage young folks who might be looking for skills to start gardening. We could do a seed workshop as one of the ideas, or get some kids in there to learn about composting and all those fun things that are a part of everyday life that we don't necessarily, or that we might take for granted. Yes, absolutely.
Just a suggestion, if you've reached out or working with Community Futures at all, just particularly in terms of business development courses, because they do a lot of that. And there's a lot of really good food business development courses so.
Absolutely. I had Rihanna in my list this morning as one of those contacts, because I agree completely and hadn't even considered it until another food hub was like, yeah, we're doing these with Community Futures. And I was like, my goodness, yeah, absolutely. Let's bring that to the Doc Plus for sure. Thank you.
Yeah, and Rihanna's super passionate about food, so she's a big supporter. That'd be great. And just a question, because I'm ignorant and I don't get out enough. Your expansion on sale, are you having a sales space, like a fish market? Is that public? No, not
We
happening
don't yet. That is something we work to aspire. At the end of the day, it kind of comes down to just capacity to be able to do it ourselves. We would love to. At one point prior to COVID, we did have somebody who was very passionate about opening a storefront, selling some Doc Plus items and having it available. We get people all the time looking for it, but we just don't have the ability to do it ourselves. We're hoping to get some partners in play to do that, or at least be able to get some kind of e-commerce thing going. Prior to the news about the tourism center, we were working, and we still will continue to work with Jolene on having maybe even like a storefront pop up within the chamber itself at the tourism center. Really trying to work with our folks on the docks to encourage dockside sales, because that's something that kind of went to the wayside, but then came back again. So we are actually seeing more of that. And anytime we can get people to do tours of the Doc Plus and come down and just buy stuff right directly, we're open to that. But absolutely, that is something on our radar. We need to get people are looking for it and want it and want to be able to wander through the dock.
We're just across the street on Saturdays. If you guys want to get a table, it's really cheap to bring products and stuff down there. If the Doc Plus had a membership, which is $180, you guys would have a spot year round, and anybody who was using the Doc Plus could be selling their stuff.
There you go. Thank you.
Music, I'm just gonna echo Russell because he didn't use his button. Music brought to you by the Doc Plus in
It is nice
exchange
that
for a
you say
membership.
that.
Whoop.
It is nice that you comment
Here
that
we
because
go.
I actually just wrote, can we sponsor that? I do think that there is some opportunity to look at sponsorships like that. For us at the Doc Plus, I'll be honest, it's just me. So to go out there on a Saturday, it isn't always feasible. I'm not so sure that our seasonal staff can do the job for us. And our Doc Plus tenants themselves are at every single market, every single weekend all over the island. So they don't really have the capacity either. So we need to find a creative way to make that happen. That's not your typical setup. So yeah, I would be willing to look at some conversation, but I did write that and actually texted Carmela to say, can we look at a sponsor? Because I want to get that information out there. It is our audience, it is our market, literally. And we just have to find a creative way to do that.
Go ahead, Russell.
So if we write a song that celebrates Doc Plus, and that has to be performed by every musician every week, we're laughing.
Jingles. Wait, let's put that on our new business for our next meeting. Jingles, jingle contest for the Doc Plus. Anyways, she's doing it. And also just note, the Spiritual Bar Farmers Market already has an info table that's there. So like even if you couldn't come down yourself, I think the market could easily do some promo for the doc, kind of weekly, or just an ongoing thing. That might sweeten the pie for you. And I'll just also say, I know Canadian Seafood Processing anyways, one business that they do sales out of their space. So people can go down to the dock and get the stuff. It's just not like a kind of a storefront where there's just somebody there who takes it off the shelf. Any other, no more fingers on buttons, and then sometimes watching the Zoom screen, screaming. Next, Coastal Foods Roundtable. Thank you, Katie.
So the Coastal Foods Roundtable meeting of the spring was just last week. So Amy was down in Tofino and we had a good turnout. Our focus right now is on the food security emergency plan for the West Coast specifically. So that'll be ready closer to the end of the year, but we'll be reviewing at our next meeting in the fall. And I just wanted to highlight that kind of the main things that came out of that meeting was a really positive spirit of collaboration from businesses, from local government, from nonprofits that are food related on the coast, like the Food Bank, the Culinary Guild, TCFI, in just wanting, number one, to collaborate on emergency preparedness and like in a variety of ways. And secondly, wanting to collaborate on supporting our local growers. So that's the other main focus besides the emergency plan at this CFR meeting was just on our very few local growers, but there are a few new people trying to grow projects this year, people who have experience. And so that's kind of what came out of the CFR, was thinking that TCFI and TUCG and these other organizations that have a lot of community support, how can we be leveraging that to help our local growers? So that was one of the mains. Issues that came up is land lease increases, like for all the people who are growing commercially out there, no one is owning their own land. So increases in leases and an increase in foreshore leases for like the marine stakeholders. So that was brought to our attention. It wasn't talked about in detail, but that's something that will maybe be coming down the pipe, and hopefully we'll be seeing more participation from the marine stakeholders out in Yuki and Tofino now that there's this new change coming that's going to have much higher costs on foreshore leases. So it's been hard for us to get marine stakeholders to the table. Maybe we'll be seeing more of them, and we're just aware that that is a change coming for small businesses. And on the side of the Tofino Community Food Initiative, we've got a growing course that we just started last week, and we had lots of eager participations. This is a Learn to Grow food course. So that was very positive. We're really looking to try to get a greenhouse that's big enough at the Wickinish Community School for more than 3 kids to actually be in at once. And we have community events coming up. CD Sunday is April 27th, so we're looking forward to that. Heather's gonna come out and have seedlings. And there just generally is a lot of feeling of collaboration. As Erica mentioned, wanting to have a market stand that has multiple stakeholders from the coast is an idea that there's a lot of interest in. So there's a lot of good energy going on, and we're gonna see how our group and all the other groups that I also work for can leverage that excitement and that energy, and sometimes not just excitement, but anger about how difficult it is for people to grow food for our community, and see how we can bring that up the line and really support our local growers. Any questions?
I was just gonna say that at that meeting about the foreshore lease, it was like not a small increase. It was like from a few $1,000s up to $50,000. So this is massive, and the implications on the coast, when you think of agriculture, you should be thinking of the sea. So it's just really important. This is federal government. So, and it was it the planner from UQLit? Yeah, so, and yeah, I see your hand up, Penny, but that's a lot.
Yeah, that's a surprise. I'm on quite a few water committees for whatever reason, usually fisheries. But I'm also on the SOMAS flood, SOMAS fish flow committee. And we're talking about water, potable water coming from Sprout Lake and Great Central. And I'm have included in the conversation potable water for drinking purposes for people rather than just fisheries. And I've been looking at how the water levels are really going low in the summers and in the winters too, actually. And recognizing that I think that we need to be putting water restrictions in like now for our future. Even though we have so much water around us, it's an issue. I've got mapping now of the aquifers in my area, or some of them that have been identified. And I'm just trying to tie it in with affordable water for agriculture, because that's something that we're really going to have to be looking at in the future. And I think we need to look at it now before we're behind the 8 ball and going, we don't have water for our fields. We don't have water for our animals. It's an issue. So I keep bringing that forward, and yeah, so foreshore leases. So I'm wondering, the farms along Sprout River or whatever, do they have water licenses? I think they do. And are they being hit with these? And what about the water purveyors from the aquifers and out there? Everybody has water licenses. Are they going to be going up? And I know that a couple of years ago, they were wanting everybody to make sure that they had their water license and it's first in line and all of that, how it works. So I think that needs to be reviewed.
Oh. Sorry, Wayne, no, go ahead. I was just going to say something I forgot to mention was another part that we were really encouraging people was to be involved in the Area C OCP surveys and just getting in touch through email about what's going on to get people on the coast to advocate for Area C and its potential for agricultural use and those sorts of things.
Okay, when you started talking about emergency preparedness, you really got my interest, because that's one of the things I've been working on the last 15 years. And I've really bumped up my interest this year because we have an opportunity. We have a big window coming here. And of course, I see grain as being an essential part of it because it doesn't require a lot of infrastructure to keep it in good condition over a long period of time. So what we got happening this year is we got a pretty good growing season starting to happen out in the prairies, and we've also got the threat of tariffs. So we're going to have a lot of organic grain, I think, available. So if I've been kind of getting really interested in talking to people about this, and if we wanted to do something like that, now's the time to be forging and signing some grain contracts in the prairies to grow enough so that we could bring it out and maybe look at doing something like that. So if you're interested, reach out to me. We'll get together and we'll talk about something like that. I got some ideas. I think it would be really, I think you'd be interested in.
Thank you. Yeah, I will forward that to the appropriate person.
And then Penny, just to answer, well, not to answer your question because I don't feel super knowledgeable because I went to my notes. So with that increased fees around water leases, that was for the waterfront property out in Ucluelet, because they have to obtain a provincial lease and license. And essentially the cost is tied to the assessed value of the property. So that's one of the issues. Your waterfront properties in Ucluelet are assessed quite high. So this is through BC assessment. So there's a whole nother layer of complexity. So it's, like I said, it's just come to the forefront. Yeah, it said the foreshore lease for one property went from $7,000 to $8,000 to $50,000.
Sure, you can.
So any waterfront, whether you're on a river or a lake or ocean, has high value. And I just had a email from a Sprout Lake resident that owns a piece of property, and it's about an acre or 5 acres, whatever, waterfront, and his assessment is huge. And then like 2 doors next door is a parcel that is deemed to be owned by the province or forestry, and the assessment is like $5,000 on waterfront property. So there's an imbalance there that needs to be also addressed. So maybe like they're not going to be paying any huge waterfront if anything happens there, but the other right next door could. So there's problems.
I had a question, the foreshore, I was thinking that would be a federal fisheries thing, but so in terms of those costs going up, who are we talking about here in terms of agricultural producers? It's not like oyster foreshore, or is it like clam garden foreshores? What are we, or do we know? Or was this just in general, like, and then it's residential? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, so this was there were no specific businesses brought up, but the planner from Ucluelet was saying this will affect the small marine businesses. That's all I could say. Yes.
And then food bank on the edge, grain contracts, sounds like a good fit, maybe if that's what you're going with that.
Yeah, and recommending that to Ione, who's doing the emergency food security plan.
Perfect. So productive, aren't we? 20 after 2, so maybe we'll even make it for a 2-hour meeting, but we'll see. But not to rush anyone if we have things to talk about and make progress on. 4-H. Go ahead.
Okay, great discussions going on here today. I'm going to switch gears and start talking a little bit about our young people here in the Valley. I did put my report in, so yeah, I'm not going to read over that. There's one mistake in that we actually are now up to 34 members. We keep getting these requests that come sneaking in, but we're absolutely done now. We're kind of maxed out, and we also, because we've been meeting since January, if young people join now, they've missed so much that it's pretty hard to catch up. So we're a little more disorganized than I'd like to be at this point, but we have piles of enthusiasm. We're up to 8 leaders and 1 more who we're waiting on, and 2 screen volunteers. We've got lots of help. A lot of them are quite inexperienced in terms of 4-H, which is fine. We're muddling through, and the kids are having a great time. We're really enjoying them. We've got a couple of kind of exciting things coming up. One is they reinstated what's called the Regional Junior Camp this year. So it's a camp for 4-H members that are 9 and 10 years old. It's on Thetis Island, the long weekend, no, just before the long weekend in May. And we've got 3 members that are going. And it's really exciting because it's a way for the kids from here to see what's going on with 4-H all over our region, which is Vancouver Island and Powell River is the Vancouver Island region. So it's really exciting. I find that these members, they go to something like this and it really opens their eyes as to what's going on with 4-H, and that it's not just in our community, it's all over the island. It's actually all over the world. So I'm quite excited that we've got 3 going to that. Part of 4-H, as most people probably know, is a communications program. And public speaking is one part of it, which we chose not to do this year with a lot of new members and younger members. It tends to scare a lot of them off when you say to them, you have to do a 3 to 5 minute speech in front of everybody. So instead, they're working on what are called educational display boards, which are basically the boards that you stand up. They can be on any topic at all. And I don't have much of a report on that because they're actually due to, we're having a business meeting tonight and they're due tonight. But the top 3 will then get to go on to the regional display board competition down in Saanich the last weekend in April. So another great opportunity for these young people to get out and see what's going on in other places with 4-H. And because we're having a business meeting tonight, I don't have all the details. We're having a manure and seaweed sale because, like everybody, we have to fundraise. And it's going to be over the next few weeks. And I was hoping the details would be finalized today, but apparently there's been a few glitches. So hopefully by tonight, and then it'll be out on our Facebook page. And I think that's about all I have to report. Any questions?
Can you just state the name of the Facebook page? Because I think it has some words in it other than 4-H. Just so that we can include it in the minutes with a link and then people can
Yeah,
click
you
on
know
it.
what? I'm gonna check on that again. It's changed a whole bunch of times. So I'll find that before the end of the meeting and make sure you get it. Okay. Oh, you have it? Okay, perfect. Thank you. I know it kept getting changed and then they revamped it all. And I'm not a techie and some of the other leaders are in charge of that. Okay. Yeah, we'll make sure that you have the right one. Thanks.
So the info will be in the minutes and yeah, of course, like new things like a new local 4-H, woohoo, much revamped. Congratulations, always kinks. So we have lots of patience. We are at marine stakeholders, which I think other than there's not a primaries here. So we'll go to primary agricultural producers. And I know Tanya submitted something and there's others of us here. So you want to speak to it or not, because you also sent a thing, but we like to hear from you.
Thanks, Heather. I mean, I think I put everything in there that we need to. We set our market dates up until next May because Anna needed them. But I put 2025s in the agenda. We're doing our 2 culinary events again on the farm. I've already started reaching out with producers that we're going to work with. The menu's almost finalized for the sit down gather and graze dinner. Half the tickets are sold for that one already in August. And we're doing the Appy night. Oh, I should say that for the gather and graze in August, with Matt Dunk, we've got Megan from V9Y who did the lunch today. She's helping with it this year. And she's going to do a handmade pasta to go with the seafood course. And we're getting grains from Wayne. And she's going to start playing around with some different ones to figure out which grain she's going to use for the pasta. And then I'm working with Celise again from Grassroots for the Appy night in July. We've got tickets ready for both. Excited for both. And we're doing a kids workshop for the May Pro Day. It's near the end of the month. I'm working with Candace Roberts. We're going to do a herb planting workshop with the kids. And other than that, we started doing weddings. We've got a couple booked for this summer, so we'll see how that goes, if we like it or not, and see if we want to continue on for 2026. But we've got the cabin registered with the new provincial regulations, so we're good to go there. Yeah, specifics for both the culinary events are in the report if you guys are interested or know of anybody who might be interested in attending. Thank you. Unless anybody has any questions.
Thanks. Any other, oh, Amy has something.
I just wanted to let everyone know that we partnered with North Island College and Hoopachesset First Nation to run a greenhouse growers course. And it was fantastically successful. It was great. We had 10 graduates that came out of that course, and one of them is in our meeting right now. And I've already pre-asked her if she could give a rundown of the course and let us know how it went. So Amber.
Okay, I'll just say it's a little out of order, Amy, because we're
She's
still.
a producer.
True. Okay, so is it the market gardening course or anyways? Amber, speak to us about being a primary producer and having this amazing opportunity.
I actually thought I was off the hook there for a second, but so it was really great. It was put on through North Island College, and Connie Kuramoto was the instructor, and the first 2 weeks were mostly done in the college with like classwork type things. We covered a wide range of topics like greenhouse design, winter gardening, soil science, plants, pests, diseases, hydroponics, aquaponics, a whole bunch of different things. It was a really hodgepodge group of people, which made it really great and interesting because we learned about a lot of different things, and Connie sort of catered to the group, and we learned on the go with some things. We also through the program we all got our first aid, food safe, and market safe certifications. From after we did most from the third week forward, we spent most of our days at the Hoopachesset farm at the bottom of Beaver Creek Road, and we did what did we do there? We worked under the direction of Connie and Joanne Priestland, who's the farm manager there now. She had us doing a lot of like seeding, and we dug up a lot of rhubarb, and so like lots of like hands-on stuff, seeding, transplanting, doing cutting, propagations, composting, weeding, kind of all the different things, seeing how things kind of grow actually in like more of small commercial setting. Greenhouse was interesting. What else did we do? We got to go to get a tour of the Lita farm with the swans and Leave Her Wild container design. So a little bit of some commercial thing, and she told us about her workshops and some of her revenue streams and things like that. So that was really interesting too. Overall, I think it was a really good program. At the very least, there were some good connections made and a group of people that helped out a community farm for 4 weeks. So yeah, that's that. Any questions?
That's awesome. Congrats. And Wayne has a question.
Yeah, just one more thing. I guess that it should probably go under F Farmers Institute. I kind of missed it, but wasn't sure if it would be brought up. On the 27th to 28th, the last Sunday of this month coming up, Nicole Steinbeck is having her annual Homesteaders Day. And so what that was like last year was kind of geared around getting people interested in growing things on a small scale and getting them interested in agriculture. So she's doing it again. And the Farmers Institute she's one of our members, by the way. And we're completely supportive of that. And we were supposed to do our annual spring get together around the same weekend, and we haven't, because of this supporting Nicole and her Homesteaders Day, we haven't come up with a date on our thing yet. So we're probably going into May sometime before we get an actual date on our annual Farmers Institute get together. That's it.
I'm glad you brought that up, Wayne. I can just, there's some interesting talks that are happening. But I'll just quickly say it. At 10, there's Deb's Worm Farm. 11 is Louis from Lita Farms talking about biodynamic farming. 12:15 is Kathy Bagley from the Fiber Guild showing people how to spin. We've got the Oceanside Hive Club at 10:30. Anna from Half Acre Garden is doing a thing on soap making. Nicole asked me if the Food Security Society would do some stuff on using soil blocks and how to seed and pot up. And then Ben Glasson is doing a homestead to farmstead, your home business, which I think will be really interesting for people at 1:15. So it's changed now. The time is 10 till 2. Originally it was 10 till 4. So if you have that original time frame in your head, don't show up at 3. There won't be. 27th. So it's on the Sunday and it's out at Beaver Creek Hall. And yeah, Nicole does a great job organizing this event.
Awesome, lots of good stuff going on. Any other producer reports, thoughts? Go ahead, Russell.
Thank you. Just briefly, I really appreciate the opportunity. And Penny, I just want to give a shout out. Thank you for your concerns about water and water supply for farming. And I really appreciate the work that the regional district is doing in that regard and the studies. And we really look forward to some support in that moving forward. As we have 2 applications in for water. We've been told that they're calculating our rent, but they have not yet issued a license, right? And that's 4 or 5 years where we've been waiting. I can understand why, right? We're not one of those primary, really conflicted water supplies. They're probably working on places like Cooksaila and other places, but nonetheless, you know, it's a little unnerving. And then the other thing I wanted to say, the last thing, is just to give a shout out to the Chamber of Commerce. We rely solely on word of mouth, and they were one of those mouths that gave a lot of words. And we had a lot of people that would visit our farm as a result of the visitor center. One couple came to us on their honeymoon. They came back again after 5 years. They keep coming back every year, and they were on the farm. They're from Saskatchewan. And this year they're staying here locally at Arrowvale Farm. So, you know, it does get out. It does help the rural communities. I can understand why the city is trying to cut back, because we're all saying cut taxes. We don't want to pay anymore. So I can understand. But on the other hand, I just don't see why we're eroding visitor services at this time and place when we need to encourage Canadians to come and visit us, because it has such an impact on us. So good luck with that decision. It won't be easy, but I do give a shout out to visitor services. It does certainly help us in the farming community.
Thanks, Russell. I was gonna say, I've got lots of plants. And I did just open up my little farm stand out in front of my place that people are driving around. And then more than that, though, just noticing as I walk through my neighborhood, there's actually like 3 others or 4 others even around the road and down the road. So it's pretty great. And that kind of brings to mind the guide to the farm gate stands, which the Fall Fair did. And that's a really neat publication for people to share and hopefully update. And the other idea I have around that, if you know, with that giant grant application that we're going to put in, I like the idea of doing some kind of like something like that, but also helping the different producers, myself included, of course, to like upgrade infrastructure, have some signage, so it's actually like a little tour that goes around, and you know, people can have, I mean, a little self-guided tour, but where we have a sign that this is part of this group, or and also just maybe little structures that are a bit more suited or make it something to support the little farms. And on the same note, I'll also say that I appreciate that this is legal and allowed and even encouraged in the regional district, that there's no barriers to us putting little stands at the end of our driveways out in the, I'm in the Beaver Creek Improvement District. So that's helpful. Also, I got chickens, meat chickens, and man, they're hard to get this year for a lot of people. So if you want chicken locally, order your chickens up. And yeah, that's my only other comment. Bees, but yeah, that's all normal stuff. Bees are very expensive. You want to have bees. Oh my gosh. Okay, Penny.
Thanks. I'd just like to say a few last words. I've been attending a lot of conventions and forums lately, and no matter what the organization that's putting it on, they're all pointing to healthy lifestyles. I was at a municipal insurance convention, and they had a featured keynote speaker that talked about health, a doctor who said, food, half your plate vegetables, all different colors, you know, quarter protein, a quarter whatever else you want, dessert. But it all talks about healthy lifestyles and relating to mental health and physical health, and how it's all affecting our whole organizations on how we have to provide doctors, nurses, professionals. It was really surprising at AVICC, we had a panel of health providers. And they were talking about the mental health of children and how it takes 18 months plus for them to see a psychologist, which is horrible, absolutely horrible to think about youth from age 10 up are using drugs. They're in that zone. Very disturbing, very disturbing. And I'm so happy to hear about 4-H has 34 kids. And I'm just thinking that those kids are probably quite healthy when it comes to mental health. They're better off than the kids that are running around the streets with no parents home and access to drugs and, you know, bad environments. So really want to give this group like all my support on everything that you can do to bring forward healthy lifestyles, healthy food, healthy environments. You know, nothing better than for kids to be running around getting dirty in the farm. So thank you. That's it.
Yeah, so I sent Sarah Reimer a letter that I got. I was sat on the community partnership table for type 2 diabetes here in Port Alberni. So the Rural Coordination Center of BC, I've never heard of them before, but they asked a bunch of doctors across the province, said who wants to be part of our pilot project. 2 doctors put their hands up. Dr. Ian Warbrick, who's here in Port Alberni, put his hand up, and a doctor up in Tumbler Ridge. And so we went through, and they're using a food first approach to combat type 2 diabetes. So last November, we had a big fair at Echo Center, just a day-long event. I brought all the leftover tomatoes and peppers from Rages. I got the very last of a whole truckload, brought them up there, and were distributed. And so right now they've just applied for another set of funding, but there's the Integrated Nutritionist Therapy Association of BC, like a lot of acronyms. So the guy we have on as part of our working group, he sent me a letter that had been sent to the provincial government about regional, buy local, support local, using this food first approach, and how important it is that we feed our residents of the province and in community, and reference the farmers market coupon program. Because we had, I think his name is Peter LeBlanc, who's the guy who does the farmers market coupon program, but he was also sitting on the table and in on meetings with us. So it was like, you know, how can we create more direct links there's so many food deserts in this community, and just the price point of veggies are inadequate food literacy. People don't know how to cook. So there's like a ton of work to be done, but just it totally brings home that point of, you know, you are what you eat. I'm maybe too much of what I eat. I love eating. But yeah, it's just, you know, food for thought, food for your brain, and they've had issues here. Matilda Atleo, she'll walk around the community and she has people come up to her. She's doing these diabetes meetings. They feed you supper every week. I'm not sure exactly where, but she has people approach her in the grocery store saying, I've reversed my diagnosis, and it's all through food, healthy lifestyle choices. And yeah, so it's really cool.
Excellent. Okay, so that, gonna put that under LEAP business, and first I just wanna, if everybody's finished with these reports, which is reports, somebody make a motion that the Agricultural Development Committee accept these reports for information. Thank you. And is there a seconder? Thank you, Wayne. All in favor? Wonderful, great. New business. I'll give the floor to Kristen with an update.
I just figured for the sake of time, for the committee, rather than waiting for the next meeting to get an answer back on providing a letter of support for the grant and aid process, I reached out to the manager of administrative services. So because this is a committee of the board, all of our recommendations go through this committee to the board. So for us to provide a letter of support, it would essentially be a letter of support from the ACRD Board of Directors, which doesn't make any sense. So the two directors that are part of this group can voice their opinions during the grant and aid process. But coming from this group is not going to work.
All right, thanks. So we know, and I think there was also a lot of discussion just around that topic in terms of like what the committee can do or how we can encourage in general, lots of support for agriculture from the ACRD. So don't know that we came to any conclusions, but we're all thinking about that, and we will discuss further unless anyone has any ideas right now. And is there any other late business to bring forward? And I guess I'm going to just ask, okay, so we sort of changed, we send in our written reports and then we have time for discussion, and we changed that. And this meeting, I think, did go a little differently with maybe more discussion in the reports, but how is that for people? What do you want to do as a rule? Is it working? Yeah. So we'll keep to the written reports, still have discussion within them, and always remember to please. Yeah, keep the reporting to a minimum with more discussion, like raising discussion flags. And encourage people to also, explicitly ask for something to be a new business if they want to have a more fulsome discussion about it. Any other new business? Question period. Are there any questions or comments from the public?
No, there are no questions through Zoom or through the email.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just going to note our next meeting, Tuesday, July 15th at 12:45 here in the boardroom. I'm not going to be here, Tanya. So we're missing a chair, and Tanya, you can see if you're maybe available. Right, and remember lunch at noon in advance, and then meeting at 12:45. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. I will adjourn this meeting at 2:43. See ya, not next time, but somewhere.
Thank you. Thanks.